presentations, and the first one will be given by the two first authors of this paper, Yao-Chieh and ting-ting.
Yeah.
Yes, please come forward and present your paper. And you can stand over there if you like.
Okay, yes.
You do that.
Alright, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yao-Chieh and ting-ting. Both of us are from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, and we're currently a business scholar at UC Berkeley Scholar. So the topic we're going to present today is pretty cool because it's not only about technology. We're also being supervised from the economy professor, so there will be a economy model in the later on slides. And what we're going to talk about today is the problem of cryptocurrency payment adoption, and most of them are being thwarted by the fluctuation of the cryptocurrency price. And that would be a huge problem. So in order to adopt cryptocurrency payment in real life, for merchant, for craftsmen, for shop, for clerks, it would be really difficult for them to accept it because if the price changes every day, every hour, every second, it would be difficult to use it. And they don't want to bear risk. For example, the customer, if they expect the price would go up tomorrow, they might save the coin today, and then they don't want to spend it right now. For the merchant, if they expect the price might drop tomorrow, it might help the coin, and then it will try to find a good time to liquidate the coin in the future, and maybe that price will not be that favored. So other than if they want to be risk averse, if they want to avoid risk, it will be difficult for them to use cryptocurrency. And that's the problem we are trying to solve today, and this is a solution. So what we're doing today is to involve a third party, which is a token issuer, into the beneficial cycle. So it will be like this. We will be dealing with initiate payment receipt settlement, cryptocurrency reference exchange, and goods and service on the blockchain itself and some off-chain solutions. So it will be an integrated solution as a whole, including a technology model and also economic model. Cool? And I'm speaking too fast. Kind of nervous. Okay, so is this an alternative for the merchant? Will be like, for example, there's a restaurant, and they don't want to hold a coin because the price might change for tomorrow. And if they expect the price will go up tomorrow, they might need to, for example, choose to go for a higher risk, or they might choose to raise the price of the products, right? And if they choose to raise the price of the product, the customer might not want to buy it because they think, oh, I can buy the product by like a cheaper price, so I don't want to use cryptocurrency if I need to pay more. So they would choose fiat currency over cryptocurrency. And if they have an investment motive, if they don't want to do cryptocurrency because of investment, they would not choose cryptocurrency for like utility token kind of stuff. So that's the reason why fiat currency is still better than cryptocurrency in terms of these two kind of alternatives. Cool. So to compare our solution with the traditional one, if you look at the traditional, we have the exchange market right there. So exchange market means risk, means the price fluctuation, the movement of the cryptocurrency. So those risks will directly impact the merchant. The risk will be distributed right there. And the merchant, if they raise the price of the cryptocurrency, if they choose all the way to stop the use of cryptocurrency, the risk will be distributed to the customer. So both the customer and merchant will be exposed to a risk. And that is not what we want to happen. So what we're doing is to get rid of the exchange market, we involve the issuer right there. So issuer will take care of all the risk. What we're doing is to transfer all the risk from both the customer and merchant back to the token issuer. And our ultimate goal is to make customer and merchant risk-free. Okay, and to give a very specific example, because we don't want to do like theory and don't test it in real life, so we give an example of a movie ticket to make it fun. So there are three rows involved. Firstly, customer, for example, like ting-ting would be the customer, and there are issuers and merchants who want to sell movie ticket. But actually, this case can be applied to different multiple industries, so it's not only limited to movie tickets. Okay, and to start with, the issuer will need to go to the merchant, say, okay, That's do business. And the merchant say, okay, I want to approach cryptocurrency world. I want to open an alternative way for cryptocurrency payment. So I will do business with you. So let's have an imaginative cryptocurrency called move, and no B, just move a ticket. And the issuer needs to set up the predetermined exchange rate with the merchant. For example, like 1 move equal $10 US. Okay, and that rate only change over a long period of time. For example, a month, a quarter, a year. So it would be semi-stable kind of. And the use case for payment, there are 2 use cases. One is payment, the other one is settlement. So the first one, the payment, when the customer, ting-ting, go to the merchant, say, okay, I want to watch a movie. Please give me a movie ticket. The merchant say, okay, it's gonna cost you 10 movies, right? In intuitive case, what will happen is that the customer will transfer money to the merchant directly. But that will be risky because we just mentioned it's a traditional model. So what we are doing right here is to let the customer transfer cryptocurrency directly to the issuer. It sounds weird, right? But actually, what will happen, the major part will be this one. There will be a blockchain event on the smart contract generated. We call initiate payment receipt. And that receipt will record what happened in the payment, the timing, the person, the real involved, the merchant, the shop. And that will be put on the smart contract and associated to the merchant. And we call it the blockchain receipts. And the merchant will deliver the goods or services to the customer. In this case, it will be the movie tickets. Okay, and we're done right there. And for the use case of settlement, which is the second use case, after that long period of time, for example, like a month, a quarter, or a year, the issuer just say right there, and the merchant will go to the issuer and say, okay, right now I have a pile of blockchain receipts. I want to settle all of them with you because I want fiat currency back. So what will happen is, she said, let's settle. And so the merchant will run the settle, will execute settle as action on the smart contract. What will happen is another blockchain receipt will be generated. We call settle payment receipt and record on the blockchain on a smart contract, like that. So each of the receipt that was already on the smart contract will be reduced. And the issuer will provide equivalent amount of fiat currency back to the merchant. And as we just mentioned, that exchange rate is predefined, so it's stable. So what we just demonstrate is that for the merchant, for the customer, both of them, they don't expose to the fluctuation of the cryptocurrency price. Good. So that's on the technology part, the implementation, and the use case, and we want to talk about the technology we use. And it's pretty simple because we don't want to just talk about theory, so we relate POC, proof of concept, and those are tests on Ethereum blockchain, and all of our smart contract reasoning solidity. And we tested with Truffle framework, test automation, test coverage, and also run on the parent network on AWS EC2. Yep. And we don't want to build everything in our warehouse, so we open source our technology. So it's currently Ethereum code for command 1586 on the Ethereum GitHub repository for everyone to validate, verify the concept to see whether it is really working in real life. And this is the exact smart contract interface which exposed to the public. There are 3 major parts: the data storage, the immutable event, and the executable action. So what we want you to focus on is the immutable event. So you might remember I just said the blockchain receipts, and there are 2 kinds of blockchain receipts. One is the payment receipt, the other one is the settlement receipt. Right? But the payment receipt, it only being initiated when the customer wants to pay, want to purchase something from the shop. And it would trigger an event on blockchain called payment initiated. And that is the exact payment receipt that will be associated to the merchant. It's the first part. And after the long period of time, when the merchant have a pile of this receipt, when they want to get the currency back from the token issuer, they will approach the token issuer, say, okay, that's settled. And for each of the payment, they will have a receipt ID, which we call payment hash, so it's say like unit ID. They need to run settle for each of them to generate a payment settle event on blockchain, on this smart contract, they will associate to the merchant and to the issuer. So when every payment initiated blockchain receipt has been settled, the fiat currency will go back to the merchant. Wait. Okay. And we also tested the POC in the real environment because we want to see, does it really does it increase the latency? Does it has enough feasibility in real world? So we test over the latency and gas usage of it. That is basically the payment latency. Okay, and it's pretty like as expectation, like just linear relationship. But what we want you to notice is that for one single AWS EC2 instance, like one node, a single node, when the number of merchants increases 100, the latency is 3.5 seconds, which means if this is not one node, if it's 10 nodes, if it's Ethereum network or other blockchain, the latency will be significantly reduced, which means the feasibility at this kind of design will be very high. Yep, and it's only for 4 seconds for 100 customers involved. Yep, so it's kind of like acceptable latency for in the world of blockchain. Yeah, so the acceptable latency is pretty similar, but it's a little bit higher. So it would be like 8 seconds and 8 seconds to build like the 20 number of customers and the number 20 at the merchants. So because for the settlement, it might be a little bit difficult for we to process the action, because for payment we only need to deal with one receipt, but actually for settlement we need to go through the blockchain history to pull up all the receipt that was related. Yep. And the gas usage, this is a pretty interesting part. So we have payment and settle, like I just said, and we also compare it to the general ERC20 transfer. So if you look at the gas from the ETH gas station with a very fast confirmation time, that is less than 1 minute, it will cost you 5 cents for payment, 2.3 cents for settlement, and 1.7 cents for the ERC20 transfer. So you might think, so are we doing something that just increased the double, triple the gas usage? That sounds silly, but that would be not the case, because for this payment and settle, it will happen. I mean, the beneficial cycle, the economic cycle will not involve the exchange, which means if you want to get better fiat currency, you will not need to go through the exchange. So you don't need to pay transaction fee for any like point-to-point exchange or point fiat currency exchange. That means if we are doing a $100 transfer, $100 US transfer, if we're going through Coinbase or any like point-to-point transfer, it will take like 1.49%, which is like $1.5. And for any local exchange, I just checked the exchange rate in Taiwan. It's about like 3%. So it will be $4.5 for just a $100 transfer or redemption. That means $4.5 compared to 5 cents, it will be 90 times more. In terms of comparison. So what we just demonstrate is that it's not only benefits like both the merchants and customers, it also reduces the transaction fee in terms of the usage. Okay. Cool. Got enough time. So I will now pass on to Tini to look at the entire design from a totally different point of view, which is economy point of view, and she'll be introducing the risk behavior model. And thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yao-Chieh, for the introduction. So now I'll dive more into the risk behavior model. So first we'll discuss this in the who bears the risk. So there are 3 roles that bears the risk. One is customer, and one is merchant, and one is issuer. So in a conventional system where the customers and merchants bear the risk, they won't want to use the system because the system is risky. So we won't want that to happen. So in our proposed system, we let the issuer bear all the risk. And now I'll walk through each system and how the system works. So in the first system, the customer is the victim, and the merchant is the one that is selfish and only cares about his benefit. So consider the case where the cryptocurrency price is dropping significantly. So the merchant in this case will say, hey, the cryptocurrency price is dropping. So instead of just paying me 1 MOV token for 1 movie ticket, you have to pay me 2 MOV tokens because the price of the MOV token goes down. So the customer will have no choice but to pay double the price of the MOV token. So the customer will not want to use the system. And how about conventional system 2, where the merchant is the victim and the customer is the one that is happy? So the customer will stay happy, and the merchant will say that, hey, how about I don't change the price of the movie ticket? It stays 1 MOV, no matter how the MOV price go down or up. So in this case, if the price drops, then the customer will end up paying less for 1 movie ticket. So the merchant will be the victim, and the customer will be satisfied. But the merchant will not want to use the system for the same reason. And that's why we come up with our proposed solution. So in this solution, here comes the third party called the token issuer. So the token issuer will stand up and talk to the merchant, say, I'll guarantee you fixed price that matches MOV token price to fiat currency. So I will guarantee the transfer of cryptocurrency to fiat currency. So the merchant will say, oh, okay, sure, because that's just traditionally how I accept fiat currency for a movie ticket. So the merchant will obviously keep the price of the movie ticket the same as 1 MOV. So the customer will be happy because he will no longer have to worry about the movie ticket I buy today and tomorrow will be of different prices. So both the customer and merchant are happy. But the issuer gets all the risk. And now I'm going to show you the formula which gives you more rigorous mathematical proof of why the system has the least risk. So here you can see this is the payoff table of the 3 different systems. So the firstly, let's look at the yellow highlight. The yellow highlight is the role that is bearing the risk. So for our proposed system where the issuer bears the risk, we can see that the issuer has a formula which you can see on your right-hand side, and this is denoted by CE, which is certainty equivalent. Certainty equivalent is that you can imagine if you want to buy a lottery, which you can win 100 USD, but you only have 1% chance of winning. So you will value the lottery as 1 USD instead of 100 USD. So this is how certainty equivalent means. And so this demonstrates that how the issuer will look at the actual price considering the risk involved. And the B here is the benefit of the issuer will receive, and D here is the dividend. And what dividend is that in order for customer and merchants to use this risky system, the issuer have to pay some perks. They have to motivate these 2 parties to use the system by paying them some dividend. For example, by coupon or reward, cash reward to that they use. And this delta is the cryptocurrency price fluctuation. And this is the original base price. So the base price plus the price fluctuation will be what the issuer will bear the risk. And why we want to sum up is because the issuer is processing transaction of all merchants and all customers, where M denotes the number of merchants and N denotes the number of customers. So this is the issuer's risk formula. And when it comes to customer, the customer has the value, which is the value of the product the customer thinks the product is, and the price is the base price of the product, and this is the risk and the dividend that the customer receives. And it does not have to times any M or N because the customer only cares about his transaction. And the last one is the merchant. The merchant has to sum up all the N customers, all the customers involved. So it is sum up number N of all the price. And this is the conclusion of the formula we just seen. So we can see that if we can see the cryptocurrency price fluctuation as the variance, and which is positively correlated with the risk, then we can know that on average, a customer, because he only cares about himself, will have V of risk, which is variance. And merchant will have V divided by M. And the issuer will have V divided by M times N, which is the total number of transactions he has to process. So the lowest risk average will be the issuer. But we can clearly see that is not some kind of mercy person who wants to maximize benefit, right? So does this benefit him? The answer is yes. For the following reasons. Because traditionally, when customers and merchants bear the risk, the issuer, if you can recall, they have to pay the dividend to them for them to adopt the system, which is usually known as the customer acquisition cost. So if in our proposed system, where the customer merchants does not have to bear the risk, the issuer does not have to pay the dividend. So the merchant will reduce the customer acquisition cost and remaining the customer and merchant still happy. So in this case, to illustrate in a more specific manner, the issuer will not have to issue coupon for customer acquisition, and third profit party will be happy. And this is the key takeaway for this presentation, is that the cryptocurrency adoption can be solved by redistributing the risk from customers and merchants. Thank you, and we welcome.
Thanks for your presentation. Are there any questions? Yes, okay.
Yeah, so that was an excellent presentation. I think the thing that I was having trouble understanding about your model, so the third party, the token issuer, B, what is B, and where, how can I understand B in your system?
Oh, the B is the benefit, total benefit of the issuer.
And so where does that come from, or how is that determined?
Oh, because when the issuer issues the cryptocurrency, he must have some benefit. Either it is some benefit, his money benefit, or it has some property benefit. Yeah.
So you assume the issuer has a certain motivation to do this kind of issuance. So it might be like community benefits, or like media exposure, or like some kind of like strategy, collaboration, education, or institutional. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So, are you aware of currently some credit card, right? They through the OTC, right, the over the counter, right? And then they don't really need the issuer to be as a media to reduce the risk, etc. They have a pool of the users of this cryptocurrency, right? Yeah. So ensure actually the merchant, they will minimize the risk, because whatever you transfer the cryptocurrency through this credit card, right? And the OTC people actually, they will immediately buy it, right? Do you study this kind of scenario?
That would be one of the alternatives, although we didn't put it right there. So it would take, there would be, as you say, if we want to use cryptocurrency, which is directly buy it from market, and we directly use it, that would be one of the cases. Yeah. So you can do that, but you need to consider the latency in between. For example, like how many agents you are going to jump on in between. For example, how many parties are involved, and if you want to buy from market, do you have like transaction fee? If the market, for example, exchange, they charge a certain cap. Yeah. I mean, between the average price and the price they are selling. So if they are all considered, it would be kind of difficult, but you can still do that. So for example, if you want to do a small kind of transaction, the kind of gather transaction fee might be low, so it's acceptable. But if you want to do a very large chunk of money transfer, if the exchange market they charge like percentage, then it will be a huge loss for this kind of transfer. And I think
that would be interesting, because actually I used this kind of cryptocurrency credit card before. Right?
Okay.
I put some Bitcoin in this, the credit card, right, and can use it in other countries to in restaurant or buy something, right, and they have a real-time kind of transaction, whatever I use in this credit card, right, and they can immediately change to like the fiat currency. Actually, the merchant, what they receive is a fiat currency. Yeah. Right. So this, it could be interesting to study that also.
Okay, I think we'll consider that in our extensive work for next paper if we got a chance. Thank you for your suggestion.
Could you maybe elaborate on how your system differs from current stable coins like DappCon and Tether, for example? Like, could we say that Tether, like the issuer of Tether, is comparable to the issuer in your system?
There will be two expect it to be better. So if you go to the additional slides, we got the backup slides right there. Yeah. So if we're using Tether, it will be kind of like stable or like semi-stable coin. So the only risk that we need to consider is a random walk of the price change. So as we said, if we accumulate all the transfer or all the payment onto the token issuer, the random walk will have positive range and negative range being minimized, right? Because it processes a large amount of transaction. So at some time in the future, they will be like reduced to zero, right? Because it's random walk. But if it's a non-stable coin, some stable coin, for example, like Bitcoin Ether, then we need to consider two types of risk. One is a random walk in a coin fluctuation. The other one is a price change according to maybe the market performance, some issue by the company or the organizations. So we are not considering that in our model right now, and that would be really difficult to reduce because it's still the.
I think what he's asking is what is the Tether USD issuer compared to the issuer in our system?
Excuse me, I didn't hear.
Are you asking that what is the Tether issuer compared to the issuer in our system?
Right.
Oh.
I should answer yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is some difference. It's because in our proposed system, it is the customer transfer cryptocurrency directly to the issuer. But this is not the case when you are using USDT. Because in this case, our issuer will only receive the cryptocurrency from the customer. And the issuer will communicate with the merchant and pay them the fiat currency just based on the blockchain receipt. Yeah. So this is how it differs from USDT.
So adding on what she just said, Tether can integrate with this kind of flow if they want to be this route. And right now they're different, and what Tether is doing is easier to integrate with our flow compared to like Bitcoin or Ether, because Tether has only one risk, as I just mentioned. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.